Hi, Abiodun. Thank you for joining me today on the Crossbar Stories. How are you doing today?
I'm good. And how are you doing too?
I'm good, thank you. So where are you joining from today, by the way?
Yeah, I'm joining from Graz, Austria.
Austria. They say
Yeah.
Grast?
Yeah, Graz, the city of Graz
Oh,
in Austria.
okay,
So,
cool. Man, I have not been to any European countries. Well, take that back. But yeah. How is it? How is it out there?
actually sunny, so we're still in summer. And even right now, this is 6:07 and the sun is still out. So
Wow.
yeah, this time around we
That
get to
must be
yeah, the
that
sun
must be
sets
quite
maybe around
interesting.
9 p.m. anytime from 9 p.m. or so.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm in Lagos, Nigeria right now, and it's raining.
Oh,
So it's 5:08 p.m. So you guys are an hour ahead of Nigeria. That's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So Austria, that is not a place that, you typically hear, a lot of people who say, they're at. So I'm pretty interested to, dive into kind of like, what brought you to Austria, why you're out there in Austria, and all of the big wins and, talk about that. So like, why are you in Austria? What brings you to Austria?
That's the common question. What most people ask me every time they meet me, or the time they get to find out, okay, where are you? And I tell them Austria. Most of the time, they even mistake it for Australia.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I did not listen properly, I would have said, "Are you Australia? Do you mean Australia?" But
yeah.
yeah,
So I have to correct them to know it's different countries. Austria is in Europe. Australia is another continent on its own. And I discovered Austria through you, one of your yeah, one of
so
your live event on Instagram back then. I think that was after COVID. Was it 2022 or 2021 during that period?
mhm.
Across Horizon, I remember the one of the we did post this weekend live post on Instagram. Yeah, you
Wow.
made mention of Austria and quite a number of countries in Europe then. Then I went back after that stuff. Then went back to check and I discovered, oh, nice city, and they have a lot of emerging courses then, and they also have courses in English language.
Mhm.
That was the way I discovered Austria. Like I heard of Austria first from you. Like yeah, I heard it from you first.
I
Yeah,
Interesting. I don't remember that, but that's
yeah,
pretty exciting.
yeah, yeah. So so what made me choose Austria was because of the curriculum. And as at then, when I started my application, most of these schools across the globe are just trying to set out with this emerging technology because I'm in
Mhm.
Austria, I'm researching on AI and creative computing. So we get to see most universities now have a program in AI. But if you look into the details, you realize it's not really AI in application, it's maybe business analytics or data science, and they just use the buzzword AI just to get maybe the grant or to get student interest or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. So after comparing several schools' curriculum, and I thought, okay, Austria looks more promising, and I put in for it.
Wow, that's an interesting twist. First, wasn't really expecting you to, mention that you heard about Austria. There are times where I would talk about schools and places to go, so
Yeah.
that's quite interesting. And I think AI is an interesting one. So you are in Austria as a student, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you doing like an undergrad, your master's, PhD? Like what program are you doing out there?
So okay, back in Nigeria, I did my first bachelor's in humanities, in international relations and business. So after that, I did a diploma course in artificial intelligence. So that introduced me to artificial intelligence. So that was it was virtual anyway. One of the schools in the US, it was virtual. So I remember that I also reached out to you. Then I was trying to get some information about the US in one of your DM long time ago. Then, so in the process of that course, so that gave me the in-depth knowledge of AI. So when I come across several schools programs talking about AI, then I get to see the details and know this is not actually an AI program per se. So yeah, so I put in for artificial intelligence for master's program at first, but because I didn't have the bachelor's program in AI, so I was not accepted. I was required to start from the scratch, even though I've done some stuff, but it's still required because that's one thing about the German system of education. So it's quite different. So they can't admit you if you don't have that same field for bachelor's.
So it's kind of like it's kind of like a prerequisite, right? Kind of like you need to get the foundations.
Yeah, they are very strict on it. Regardless of the experience or what you've done before, you still need to. So you can start the course and finish earlier than your peers. So they might waive most of the because you've done most of those things, but definitely you must have that degree in that same field. So now I had to start in from bachelor's program, then move on to master's. But currently I'm almost done with the bachelor's program.
Wow, amazing! Thank you for sharing that. That's something I never knew about. And two things you mentioned, earlier that I want to dig into a little bit was two things you mentioned that I want to dig into a little bit is you mentioned you were from Nigeria. So where in Nigeria are you from?
So I reside in Lagos, but by origin I'm from Ogun State.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. And you had mentioned like Austria, kind of like, I know Austria and Germany, they used to kind of like share. I don't know much about the history and whatnot, right? But I know these are people that are very diligent, they have a very straightforward way of doing things. Can you share with us a little bit about your experience with, compared to life in Austria, education compared to life and education back home in Nigeria?
Yeah. So one thing about the Austrian culture, it's similar to the German culture because anyway, they were one before they had to split into several countries. So the Austrian system of education is quite different from what we have in Nigeria. And the Nigerian system of education mirrors the British curriculum, which is quite different from the German curriculum. At first, they have two modes of higher institution. So the first is FH, that is FH in German. So in English is FH, in German is FH, abbreviation of Fachhochschule. So Fachhochschule is University of Applied Science. So most times if you go through the list of their university, you see some universities called university. You see some other institutions called University of Applied Science. And under the university, you still have the normal universities and you still have the technical universities. So the universities and the technical universities are the same. It's more similar to the Nigerian style of education, but much more advanced in the sense that, in Nigeria, your duration of your program, the duration for your program is fixed, either 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, depending on what you're studying. But if you're in the university in either Austria or Germany, it's not fixed. Okay. You can see students doing bachelors for 10 years, for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and they take pride in that. You're like, if you go for any of their commencement, the commencement is graduation, or any of their graduation, you estimate like, maybe 2,000 people enrolled for this program, and maybe 20 students are graduating this year. So they take pride in that. So like it's the known fact. Yeah, they don't expect you to finish within 3 years or 4 years. And the reason why is that you are expected to register for your course every semester. So you have a marked out curriculum, which you're expected to finish for you to end that degree. So you can also add some extra courses. For example, now maybe you're studying medical science and you're in the university. You can decide to also pick some courses from maybe engineering field. So you can make up your curriculum alongside also meeting the requirements for your specific program you enrolled for. So that gives you room to
Mm-hmm.
also add more courses, and also you might spend more time for that program, regardless of either masters or bachelors.
Yeah.
So why for FH? So the FH is quite different. So the FH comprises of a polytechnic in the Nigerian system and a normal university. So if you're in the FH, that's University of Applied Science in English language. I'm trying to translate it. So in case we have
Yeah.
any of our audience that doesn't understand these terms. So FH
Mm-hmm.
means University of Applied Science in English. So if you're in the FH, from day one, you start doing practicals. Unlike the university where you do a lot of research, theory, for FH you start doing practicals. So you do a lot of practical works. You are not just taught by just professors. So they have various modes of professor. We have the FH professors who are much more experienced in that field. So if you're in the FH, most of your lecturers might not be on campus every time. So they're experts. So they bring them from all around the EU. They come in, they take you, and they go. They take you guys into the lab, or they ask you guys to come over for their field trip at their company or stuff like that. So it's much more practical, intense, and it's much more stricter. So you don't have the luxury of time in FH. So in the university, you could decide to stay 10 years, but in FH, if your program is 3 years, it's 3 years. If it is 2 years, it's 2 years.
Yeah.
So you tend to do more courses in this every semester compared to those in the university. So the program I opted in was in the FH because of this style of distance, the fact that I could also finish on time and I could also gain practical knowledge. Not just I didn't just want to just learn theory, just start reading stuff that are not really interesting and boring. So I decided to enroll for University of Applied Science. So the first year, this is my second year, by the way, in Austria. So the first year I was in Campus O2, University of Applied Science. So this next session that just started, I'm in another university. So another beautiful thing about the Austrian, not even just the Austrian, the EU per se, outside the UK, is that you can transfer. So you can choose to start a course in a particular university and choose to continue the next semester in another university. Yeah, so it also works.
That's pretty cool.
Even outside Austria, I can choose to continue in Germany or continue somewhere else within the EU stuff.
Within the EU, within the EU. That's pretty cool. I love that. I think there's something similar, like we have something similar in the US where you are able to transfer from college. Sometimes some of the credits don't transfer, but for the most part, you are able to, transfer your credits from one institution to another. That's cool. Yeah. So time for to bust some meat, right? People usually say school is free in Europe or in the EU, right? So what's your experience? What's your experience been like? Is it really like you just apply to a school and then you don't pay for tuition? Like what do we need to know in terms of your experience with tuition and whatnot?
I could say they are somehow right, but not 100% right, because it's somewhat free compared to the amount you're paying to those in the UK or those in the US. So the way it works is because this is a cross audience. So your school fees is determined by your region, your country where you're from. So in my school, my previous school, my tuition was 375 euros per semester.
What?
Yeah. So
375 euros
per semester. So either Austrians or foreigners, you expect to pay that fee. Everybody's expected to pay that fee. But for some schools, Austrians are expected to pay cheaper or not to pay at all. Why foreigners? So foreigners are even in various categories. Those from EU, there's a different fee. Those from Africa and America, a different fee. And even within Africa, countries like Republic of Benin, Burkina Faso, they don't pay tuition here. So there are several African countries, they're not required to pay tuition, but Nigerians, Ghanaians, and quite some other Western countries are expected to pay. But Burkina Faso, Republic of Benin, they don't pay tuition. But there's one beautiful thing they do again. So irrespective of the amount you're paying, So at the end of the semester or at the end of the session, if you meet the requirements, so for this semester, this session we're starting, that just started, the requirement is if we have minimum grade 2. So I'm going to come to the grading system, which is also different from what we have. Grade 2 is B. So if we have minimum grade 2, and grade 2 is from 80 to 90. 80% to 90%. That's grade 2. So if you have minimum grade 2, you will get in all your courses, you get a refund of your tuition for that entire session.
Semester.
Session. For the entire session, you're going to get a refund. Or you use that to pay for the next session, or you get the money back, depending on the school policy. So it's somewhat free. But in Germany, to the best of my knowledge, in Germany, you don't pay tuition. So the only thing you pay the student union fee, which is as low as 80 euros, 40 euros, 70 euros per annum. So you pay it every session.
Wow, this is sounding really good to my head. Now I feel like I want to go back to school. So maybe I can come to Austria. I can come to Austria. So that's interesting. So did you you had mentioned, how was the process like for you? Just for those who are, for those who are interested in doing the same thing you've done, interested in going to Austria, because now we've talked about it's affordable, right? And if you do well, they give you back your money. And somebody's like, well, I want to explore going to Austria. How was the experience like for you? Like, how did you went through this whole process? In a nutshell, right? Of course, you could give us a long, longer version, but we want just one in a nutshell, kind of some of the key things you did to prepare, and then how you were able to be successful at it.
Okay, I think the first thing you need to do is, first of all, identify the course you want to study. So that makes the search much more easier. Then next thing, discover the institution that does that program. So one thing again I didn't say. So Austrian is a German-speaking country. They understand English, but at first, anybody you meet randomly on the streets anywhere, they speak German to you first. Okay. So you tell them, yes, especially English, that's when they try to now relate to you in English.
English.
So that means most of the courses are either in German language, are taught in German language or in English language, but most of the courses are in German language. So recently they are trying to now start several courses in English, but you find a chunk of their courses, their program, in German language. So that is one of the other side. One of the things you also need to look out for, which quick is not
quick segue right there, though. Just hold your thought. Right? So did you have to learn German? Did you have to learn German?
No. So fortunately for me, my course is in English language.
Okay. So cool. I was just curious, but yeah, you can go on.
So and that's not even an excuse anyway. So because even though you get admitted to a program in German language, you are required to do German courses first, maybe for the first 1 year or 2 years. So you pass you meet up their German requirement, then you now start your program. Okay. So you can still apply if you want to put in that level of work to learn the language, but it's not easy. It's not easy.
That's what happened. Yeah.
You can still apply. So they have German schools, part of the program. So you just keep paying your tuition. So every day, instead of you going to your normal class, you go to the German class. So you meet the requirements. So when you've discovered the school, the university that offer those programs, so you look out for their requirements. So one thing you should know that Austria requires a lot of documentation, especially for we in Nigeria. So you need to get your documents. So for BSc, you need to get your WAEC results, your secondary school certificates. If you've done any degree ahead above your BSc, above your WAEC, if you're applying for bachelor's, above your O levels, it also boosts your chances, because it's quite competitive also, because a lot of people are also applying from several countries. So you need to also get that. Then once you've gotten all these documents, then the first thing you need to send them to the specific ministries. So academic documents go to the Ministry of Education in Nigeria, Every other foreign document that is not academic goes to foreign affairs. So you send them there for authentication. So there's what is called authentication. Those ministries need to attest to the fact that those documents are genuinely original and it's not fake. So there's something they document. Yeah. So when you're done with that, then you now apply to the embassy for verification. So the process is you gather your documents, you do the authentication at the specific Ministry of either Ministry of Foreign Affairs or Ministry of Education in Nigeria. Then you send those documents to the Austrian embassy for verification. Then once they are done with that, you now do legalization.
Okay.
So once you're now done with legalization, you should have gotten your admission by then. Then you now apply for your RP students. Then after that, you get your visa.
Interesting. So you find the school you want to apply, that has your program. You apply to that school. While the application is being processed, you need to go through the formality of authenticating your documents with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or Ministry of Education. And then you send those documents. Once they're done, you send those documents to the Austrian embassy for whatever processes they need to do. And then from there, you can now start the process of getting your visa with your admission documents and everything, right?
Yeah.
That's a quite thorough process. So there's really no, no back doors there, which is, I think I'd say quite unfortunate, but also, it helps weed out those people who don't necessarily, who don't necessarily deserve the chance, right? Because it's a lot of hard work, and if you're not ready to put in the hard work, even at the application phase, then it shows how much you're not going to put into the work when you get over there. So so now you're in Austria, you've gone through all of this headache to apply, you got your admission, got your visa, you packed your bag and you bought a flight from Lagos and you arrive in Austria. What was it like? Like what was your first experience or thought? That's like, okay, I am in a new country that is not Nigeria.
Actually, it's quite different. Because even moving from Lagos to another city is different. So how much more even move from Nigeria to another country? Not even just another.
They don't necessarily even. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Right from the airport, immediately we're done with the immigration, and everything on the screen was in German. But quite a lot of stuff were also translated. But still, the difference was there. This is. Even though the public announcement was first announced in German before they translate to English. Yeah. So they came in, saw quite a number of things in terms of the mode of operation, the way they do their things here, which is quite different. And one of the cultural shocking moment was I came in on a weekend. Yeah, I wanted to get something on Sunday. Now for me to discover no place is open on Sunday. They don't joke with their public holiday and they don't joke with weekends. I couldn't get anything, even supermarkets. The only place you could get stuff, was at the train station, either a train station near you or maybe the airport. If you're closer to the airport, that's where you could get anything. So all supermarkets, all stores were closed. So another time was on a Saturday. I thought normal stuff, so I could just leave my house and just get something maybe around past 8. Then for me to discover everywhere is closed on Saturday. So they close around 6 p.m. 6 p.m. all the stores are closed. Yeah. So
that's
so I have to now reschedule my stuff myself. I have to now work with their own style of doing things. So if I need to get anything for the weekend, if I don't get it to 6 p.m. on Saturday, that means I need to wait till Monday.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, another one was even the public holiday. So if in Nigeria, public holiday is the time when you get to go out. Most of the stores are opened. You go to you go out for leisure, but it's the opposite here. Public holiday is public holiday. So the staffs of those recreation centers are also on public holiday. So you don't see them. Restaurants are closed, everywhere are closed, except maybe the train station or maybe the airport. So it's quite, they don't joke. Yeah, when it comes to, when it comes to work-life balance, they are very big on it.
I need to move to Austria, man. America is quite the opposite.
So when it comes to work-life balance, they are quite very, very big on it. They don't joke with that. Your holiday is your holiday. Every public holiday, you have that. Nothing like maybe. So if you're working, there's your fixed time is your fixed time. So they don't encourage working overtime. They don't encourage it. So peradventure, maybe they discover you work overtime, you're going to take days off. Nothing like compensation, because they don't encourage it. So they have to work your holidays.
Wow.
You need to go off.
So they'll take days off to compensate for the extra time
extra time. So they are big on you have that time for yourself, for family, and for everything. And they respect students.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they respect students, because if you are working as a student, regardless of your working schedule, if you need to do something in school during that period, once you tell them, they have to scrap it out. Yeah,
that sounds like quite an ideal society. I love that.
Yeah, they're very big on that. Then the public transportation, so it's Europe, so there are public buses, trams, there are trains, bicycles, so it's quite a clean city anyway.
That's pretty cool. So have you traveled outside of Austria since you moved over there, like visited like any other EU countries?
Yeah. So I went to Germany, so just with the train, just neighbor. Yeah, just few minutes.
It's like you're going from Lagos to Benin Republic.
That's the thing. So it's still the same train. Just move, then you're already in Germany, and you're.
That's cool. That's pretty interesting. Well, thank you for sharing with us. I think for me, I love international education, right? I think a lot of us that go abroad to study, I mean, I don't know if you remember from my story, but I went to the US, as an international student in, earlier on, and, was able to break into tech and, travel and all those things, right? And I always say to myself, right, if it wasn't for coming to the US, going to the US as an international student, I wouldn't have a lot of the opportunities I have today, right? And I think a lot of people who've gone abroad to study, they would agree, right? Because when you look at, some of the opportunities that you're able to get when you go to study abroad, compared to, what's obtainable
I get it.
elsewhere, right? So that's pretty cool. Well, so you're studying AI. Like, what's the big goal, the big dream, the big vision, that you have about, your career? I'm just curious, and I know maybe people who are interested in tech or AI, might also want to hear what the big thing is that you'll be working on in the nearest future.
Wow, that's quite big. So in the sense that my program itself, it's creative computing, and it encompasses both AI and every other aspects of applied technology in computer science. So one of the part I chose in my program is the AI developer part. So one of the things I want to do is to be able to do stuffs with AI, not just data science, not just some beyond the algorithms with machine learning and the likes. So to build some stuffs, and specifically because AI is brought specifically with computer vision. So with computer vision and a bit of some natural language processing. So that's my niche, my core niche, because when we go down into the depth of the AI itself, it's project on computer vision and natural language processing. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, because these days, right, when you hear people say AI, right, they're talking about LLMs, right, and your GPTs and whatnot, right? But I like kind of like your focus. Well, I will definitely. I love following trends, and especially in your industry. So I'll be
Mhm.
looking forward to the big things you're going to put out someday in the future. I'll be like, yeah, I know that guy, man.
Definitely.
Well, in closing, what advice do you have for, current international students who may be looking to, who may be struggling during the process of, just living abroad, or those who are actually in the process of trying to come abroad for their education? Could be in Austria, could be anywhere in the world, right? What advice would you have for this category of people?
Yeah. So in two phases, like for those abroad, what I would say is that we should try as much to integrate. So one of the major challenge of most of us abroad is that we don't integrate into the system, and at the end of it all, we fall victims. Like there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of things going around, but we still try to still act as if we are still where we were coming from. So you understand? So you hear discussion like, oh, this thing they're not doing it like the way it is in Nigeria, or this food does not taste this way, this thing is not like this. So instead of us trying to integrate and also take up those cultures, yeah, that are still within the line of our values and interests anyway, and still try to hear and learn from them.
I like the keyword, right? Within the, values and cultures, but at least,
Yeah,
be ready to integrate. I like that.
because that's the big thing. Like,
Yeah.
so integration is a major thing, and there's a whole lot we could gain from integration. Like a whole lot. Like, yeah, we could learn a lot of stuff. Because when I came in, I discovered anyway, there are not quite a number of Nigerians the time I came in than now. So now a lot of Nigerians are coming in now than it was previously. So when I came in, I'm trying to even have conversation with some Nigerians. I found this narrow niche, yeah, the kind of things you can do. And I said, no, why can't you not do this? Why can't you not do
Yeah.
this? And I later discovered it's because they didn't try, or maybe they just have this bias or something towards that particular aspect. Then I just discovered it's just the integration. Most of them just try to just stay within their bubbles and not to just go outside of their comfort zone, and they don't even talk. You find most people don't even talk to white people. They don't even do this. They'll say any small thing they classify it as racism or stuff. Is not. Just try and
Yeah.
integrate for those abroad, and those that intend coming in should put in the work. So it should be beyond wishful thinking. Than let it move from your wishful thinking to you taking the necessary steps, because it's not going to be easy. It's stressful. You need to get those documents. So coming abroad, you need to prove to them those documents are legit. And there's this thing most Nigerians fall victim of, because we don't want to go through the stress. We just try to just cut means and end up submitting fake documents. And that's one thing they're very big on. If you discover a document is fake, your process is terminated.
Yeah, you get
there's no
banned.
second chance. Yeah, there's no second chance for that. So put in the work. If you need to consult some people where necessary, just make sure you do the necessary homework. Make sure those people are legit. Then just make sure they're doing the right thing. Put in the work. Let it move from wishful thinking. Most people will just, oh, I wish I'm in this place. I wish I'm this thing. Just put in the work and just get in. Because anybody can come in. Anybody. It's not something peculiar to some set of people. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you very much for sharing that. Do the work, right? Make sure your documentations are genuine, and be open-minded, right? Be ready to integrate and be open-minded, and go out of your comfort zone. I love that. Thank you very much, Abiodun. I really appreciate the time today, and I'm sure the audience, when they watch this, they would be very appreciative of the information you shared today. If our audience wants to reach out to you, maybe they have any questions or they have any guidance, would you be okay with that?
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. So what's the best means of communication? Like where would you like people to reach out to you? LinkedIn, email, Instagram? Like what works best for you?
Yeah, I think you can reach out to me on via social media. Twitter, Instagram is the same handle, code_Habi. So COD_ABBEY Kodabi. And my full name is Abiodun Adefusi. If you want to search for that on LinkedIn. So I think they could just drop in questions in my DM.
We'll also, we'll add the information to the transcript once this episode goes live. But thank you very much for taking time out of your busy evening, or to chat with me and to share all of this interesting information about life in Austria. Even me now, I think I'm starting to get jealous. Maybe I want to come and I want to Austria.
but I learned of Austria from your space.
I know. But now even it's a surprise that you're telling me that you learned about it from me. So now I want to go back and check my notes, and then maybe I'll come to a PhD or something in Austria. But thank you very much for sharing. Really appreciate and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Bye for now, Abiodun.
Bye.
Yeah.